Let's start with question 2, which is explain the ethical dilemmas depicted by the main characters, explain the conflict phase, resolution principles, and the ethical theories and reasoning that explain the actions of each character.
Sam Rogers is a head of trading and had been with the firm more than 30 years. Based on this movie, Sam was in dilemma whether he should follow the decision of CEO of the company he worked with. He is a bit hesitant for the decision making because of the responsibility towards the company. Afterward, Sam was asked to liquidate the asset and he is in dilemma that should or should not follow the order from the CEO. He takes a time to think carefully for what is the action he should take without making any problems. At the end of the movie, we can see that Sam was a person who is under ag utilitarian. Ag utilitarian is a utilitarian theory of ethics which states that a person's act is morally right if and only if it produces at least as much happiness as any other act that the person could perform at the time. Thus, Sam was a good head of trading floor that cares of all before taking an action. The company, John needs to make a better decision for the company. He needs to think wisely which one of the decisions may give more benefit towards the company rather being worse. John needs to make a decision that can bring the company to the right way and monitor all the staffs to do an ethical action. Secondly, John is a deontology person. Deontology is the normative ethical position that judges the morality of an action based on the action's obedience to a rule or rules. John was not had a self-interest as the company was in trouble. He is a person who had little understanding on what is going on. The third character is Jared Cohen. Jared Cohen has a role as head of investment division of the company. Jared has in dilemma when he needs to solve the problem facing by the company. Besides, he was not sure how to act as a head division from its department as he was holds the position at youthful age. He is very careful before taking any actions to avoid making any problems that could harm the company. Jared is a person of pre-conventional under avoidance of punishment. It is difference to power is valued in their own right, not in terms of respect for an underlying moral order supported by their own. Jared is also a good leader who can solve the problem better than others because he had little understanding on what is going on. Lastly, he was called the CEO to discuss the possibility of a fire sale. Last but not least, Eric Dell is the former head of risk management. He gets fired because of the reason issued by the company. Eric is a person who has started developing the risk model. Not only that, he asked Peter to continue the model after he get out from the company. Unfortunately, Eric is a person who can be described as technology principle which stated under egoism theory. The person who had this character ought to look for his own interest. He has an interest to know the secret of the company that later can help the company in a good position. He still cares of the company even though after he gets fired from the company by passing the details to Peter. Later, Eric in dilemma when he has asked a promotion of the company to sitting the office or not for the day company does the liquidation on asset or not. Therefore, the egoism theory that Eric had will give a good impact towards the company by his developing the risk model.
Move on to question 3. Was any character in the movie concerned with corporate social responsibility? Explain in detail. Is yes. Based on Margin Call film, there is a character who concerned with corporate social responsibility. According to dictionary, corporate social responsibility, or known as a CSR, is the corporate belief that a company needs to be responsible for its actions in terms of society, environmentally, and ethically. The way it is understood and implemented differ greatly from each company and country. Normally, the goal of the company is to maximize the profit for the shareholder. However, based on the considerable research, the customer no longer want to buy from companies that are irresponsible, which is lead to people suffering or the environment being irrecoverably damaged. However, the movement aims at encouraging companies to be more aware of the effect of their business on the rest of the society. However, the movement aims at encouraging companies to be more aware of the effect of their business on the rest of society, including their own stakeholders and the environment, that lead to CSR become one of the business efforts that contribute to sustainable development by delivering economic, social, and environmental benefit for all stakeholders, which include board of directors, shareholders, employees, creditors, suppliers, customers, and community at large. CSR has three types of actions, which is more focused on sustainability. They are social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environment sustainability. Based on margin call term, only social and economic sustainability are applied since there's no issues regarding to environment. Let's take a look in terms of social sustainability. Social sustainability can be include human and workers' rights and communities issue. In margin call firm, we can see Sam Rogers is the one who was concerned about the relations with customer. During the nightly emergency board meeting, Jared Cohen, as a head of investment divisions, he was called the CEO to discuss the possibility of the fire sale. The suggestions made was supported by Johan Third as a CEO and the chairman of the board. However, Sam Rogers, as a head of trading floor, he was reluctant to agree with the board's decisions to fire sell the risky assets to potential buyers, include customers and its trading partners. It is because Sam Rogers thinks about the consequences to company itself, and he believed that is an unethical act and unfair to customers to buy an asset which no longer value. Sam also mentions that selling that risky asset will cause turmoil in the market and destroying the trust relationship between company and their trading partners. Next, economic sustainability actions, which is referred to business practices that do not diminish the prospect future persons to enjoy level of consumptions, wealth, utility, or welfare comparable to those enjoyed in the present. Meaning to say, the company has to perform better to get a strong financial position to develop the economy. Economic aspect can include financial transparency and accountability and corporate governance. Meaning to say, the company has to perform better to get a strong financial position to develop the economy. Economic aspect can include financial transparency and accountability and corporate governance. Based on margin call firm, Eric Dell, as a head of risk management, was previously has been raising concern in relation to the company's MBPS trading models, but his concern was appear not to have been taken seriously by his superior. After he got fired, he passed the work to Peter Civilian as a senior risk analyst to complete the model. It is obviously shown that Eric Dell is accountable to his job and concerned against company performance to ensure that company meets its objective. I proceed to question 4. What part did corporate governance play in the event depicted in the movie? How was Sarah Robinson involved in this? Explain. First of all, let me tell you what corporate governance it is. Corporate governance, or known as a CG, is the framework of rules, relationship, system, and the processes within and by which authority is exercised and controlled in corporations. It is encompasses the mechanism by which companies and those in control are held to account. CG influences how the objectives of the company are set and achieved, how risk is monitored and assessed, and how performance is optimized. The 5 pillars of successful corporate governance are: first, accountability; second, efficiency and effectiveness; third, integrity and fairness; fourth, responsibility; and lastly, transparency. All 5 are critical in successfully running an entity and forming solid professional relationships among its stakeholders, which are directors, managers, employees, customers, regulators, and most importantly, shareholders. Nevertheless, an organization mostly using 2 approaches to follow or implement a better principles and practice in organizations. These approaches assist an organization to implement a robust corporate governance framework which is suitable with the organization's cultures and behaviors. First approach, comply or else. In the eye of the law, CG is compulsory to be obliged by the company and follow the recommendation provided. Failure to comply may lead to fine or imprison. Second approach, apply or explain. Since company failed to comply or follow the CG recommendation, the company only has to explaining the alternative practice follow, which set out in a particular recommendations, because nothing in the principles and recommendation preclude a company from following an alternative practice. The recommendation given for each principle suggests one framework for implementing the principle within our organizations. Based on margin call, the part in which the CG play is when the dumping of risky MBPS asset in order to minimize the losses. The board of directors, which is John Tour, decided to fire sell all the MBPS assets to potential buyers, which is include customer and in its trading partners. So it is clearly shown that it is an ethical act to keep selling the asset to its customer, which something has no value except the customer requests to buy more. At the time the customer find out regards the asset, the relationship with them will be impaired. Meanwhile, due to the fire sales decisions, it is shown that the shareholders and the top management will not follow the principles and the practices in the company and the recommendations of CG provided by the Act. Customer is the one of the CG component that should be treated fairly to form a solid professional relationship among them. The CG, based on margin call, is fixing the remuneration system. The payment of executive is too high compared to the average employees. It is affect the judgment of management in decision making. They prefer to avoid the risky action to protect their benefits. Therefore, it is should be fixed and the remuneration should be fully disclosed in the financial statement. Sarah Robinson, as a Chief Risk Management Officer, was involved in a company crisis since She's not reporting and disclosing the truth of company's risk to the outsider, and most importantly, top management. After all, the CEO John Toll decided to put the blame for the company's crisis on her. However, she and Eric Dar were treated to be cut the package and are bribed for 186,000 per hour.
Question 5. If you were Peter Sullivan, would you A. Make the same career decision from physics to investment banking? The answer would be no. This is because if I were Peter Sullivan, I would not make the same career decisions from physics to investment banking as Peter did in the movie. Basically, when we want to decide on something, we will have just to compare the cost and benefit. Since Peter Sullivan ended up from major physics science to investment banking, it will take much time to convert from his previous major. This is because Peter would have to contribute more in his field of study. Since Peter is a capable man, responsible and hardworking, I will just focus on my course because if I wanted to enter the investment things, I do not have much choices than have to acknowledge it. In order to learn it, time and consider would be considered. Besides that, Peter Sullivan holds a PhD in astrophysics from MIT. If I were him, I would expand my field on science because the field itself offers more jobs than just being an investment company. The jobs offered such as engineering, software programmer, and scientist. Since the risk to change a career is high, I will not make the same decision from physics to investment banking as the movie shows.
Next, if you were Peter Sullivan, would you B. Inform someone about your findings in the findings? The answer would be yes. If I were Peter Sullivan, I would inform someone about my findings. For an employee, they have obligation to inform or to report the anomalies occurred, especially if it's related to the company's wealth. Peter Sullivan did the right decision, an ethical way, informed the problem that he revealed to Will Emerson, which is his upper-level senior manager. His action, which is informing the firm will have suffered loss, will help the company to find solution to stabilize the company. Since the problem includes the company business affair, which is big matter, Peter Sullivan did the right things, which is inform the findings.
If you were Peter Sullivan, would you C. Accept the promotion at the end of the movie? The answer would be no. If I were Peter Sullivan, I would not accept the promotion from the executives at the end of the movie due to the company's current condition. Thought it had survived. We have seen the way they managed the company, involved in cheating and misrepresent the company's figures. If the management is excellent, there is no way that such matters arise. Even though they're doing the right things in saving the companies from liquidate debt, the action was unethical and cheating the buyers. This action driven to huge risks such as the reputation of the carrier itself will be broken, not only the companies. If I accepting the promotion, they will acknowledge me as their partner in crime. They will expect me to do even more unethical job if this one is not avoided. They will also threaten my position, career, and my safety. But still, the ethical things to do is not accept the promotion.